Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Tuesday, May 25th, 2010. This morning we're going to look at adding external resources to a Seaside application, things like images that don't come from within Smalltalk and other things like CSS files and so on. There are a couple of different ways to go about this. First, let's just give the simplest and most straightforward way of doing this. What we're going to do is go to Blog Root UI, and what we want is just to toss an image up here. We don't necessarily need this to look pretty, I just want to show you how this works. So what I'm going to do is in Blog Root UI, I'm going to add a single line of code at the very top of the rendering method. So we'll go in here, and right above the heading, we're going to add this line of code here. And it just says HTML paragraph, so the thing in a block is in a paragraph, and image URL colon, and then I have a path to an image on our server, so I'll hit Control S, and we'll come over here, do a refresh, and you can see there's the image. Not terribly exciting, but it works. Now, let's say that you wanted to encapsulate this more and have a bunch of images that you wanted to have in the application and have them more under the control of Seaside. The advantage to this, of course, unlike what I do here, is that I could have this be sort of a self-contained thing. I could hand an entire image off to somebody and say, here, run this as a standalone, it's a prototype, see what you think, and then they wouldn't have to have access to some internal company website to get access to all the images and the CSS and so on. So it's really useful for internal prototyping of that sort to be able to do this. So let's create a file library. What we're going to do is go ahead and create a new class. And I'm going to call this My File Library. And I'm going to subclass this from Seaside.wa file library. And I don't need to give it any instance variables. We'll just create that like that. And now I need to run some workspace code. So what I'm going to do is scroll down here where I put this little line of code, add all files in, and I have a directory called My Images that has that same y.png file in it. So I'll go ahead and do it on this, and we'll see what happens. And now if we switch over here and look at My File Library, you find this new category called Uploaded. We'll go over here, take a look at ypng. It's just that file brought in a binary fashion, so you can see it's a packed string, and it's tossed right in the image. Kind of self-contains it right in Smalltalk. So what we want to do now is change this so that we reference that image instead of hooking it up to the thing on the website. So let's go to Render Content On again, and we're going to change this URL to something like this. We'll go ahead and highlight that string, put in this myfilelibrary/ypng. So you notice that I'm putting this in as kind of a logical path construct. And now, if I go back here and refresh this yet again, see it still works, but this self-contains it within Seaside. So everything's contained within the Seaside application. Everything's set up that way so that I don't need to worry about having external references. Not necessarily the best way to deploy it. I mean, it could work that way. You can have this still served by Apache with my media search application, which is a Seaside Web Velocity app. I do use a file library to encapsulate all these things, but I still have Apache serving the images because I've got them sitting in a directory structure that I've told Apache to serve. So you can even encapsulate these things and still have them served by your web server instead of by Smalltalk. And that kind of keeps everything logically within the application instead of scattered about. So it's kind of neat that way. Anyway, that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.